Welcome to the UnScripted Authentic Leadership Podcast, a podcast we're seeking to lead change. We're also seeking to understand. We're also here as a platform for leaders to come together to unite, to develop and empower other leaders in the areas of business, family, and community. I'm your host, Lafayette Lane, joined by my co-host, John LeBron, and today we are joined by our special guest, Jason Duncan, who has joined us to have a conversation on how to live the exit lifestyle without exiting the business. Jason is the founder of one of the fastest growing privately held companies in America. He's also been named one of the top entrepreneurial companies in the country by Entrepreneur Magazine. He's a multi-award winning entrepreneur and founder of 12 companies. Also the business coach for entrepreneurs who want to work less and make more. Today he has joined us right here on the UnScripted Authentic Leadership Podcast. Jason, thanks for coming on.
Glad to be here, gentlemen. This is exciting.
Yes, sir. So let's get right into the conversation. We're talking about how to live the exit lifestyle without exiting the business. Where did this whole idea or mantra come from, living the exit lifestyle?
So in 2010, I was an unemployed school teacher and ended up starting a business out of sheer desperation because I needed to do something to help pay the mortgage and buy the groceries. And as an accidental entrepreneur, I ended up building a pretty successful multi-million-dollar business, which you were just talking about in the intro there. But in 2017, I hired my first business coach that I'd ever hired. I'd wanted to hire one for years, and my business partner all through those years thought we were smarter than business coaches and we didn't need one. But ultimately, I pulled the trigger and said, listen, I'm the majority owner of the company. I'm CEO. We're going to hire a business coach, doggone it. So we hired one, and it was him who first pointed out to me that I had built a business that relied solely upon me. Now, that's not to say I didn't have some systems in place. I didn't have great employees because as a matter of fact, 4 of my key employees have been with me for a very long time, are still employed by the company that I still own. But I was trapped. I had built a business that, everything rolled through me. So all the systems, all the processes, everything. So I thought, well, what do I do? How do I get out of this? Can I sell the company? Because it was a lighting company. I wasn't ever passionate about lighting. I was just doing it out of sheer desperation, like I said, to make ends meet. And he goes, well, you could, but it wouldn't really be worth anything. And I said, what do you mean? We're doing millions in revenue, millions in bottom line. I mean, we're killing it. He goes, well, when the business owner is the central piece of any business, the business is worth 30 to 50% less than it would be otherwise. Plus, for a lot of people, they're not even interested in buying your business because they don't want to be you. And so, guys, that was when I started thinking, well, there's got to be a better way. So I, over the next 18 to 24 months, began really doing a deep dive into the concept of delegation, what it really is, how to do it. And I successfully pulled off an exit without exiting. So, and that's what I called it. Nobody ever said that before, but I thought, well, I'm exiting, but I'm not selling it. So I'm not really exiting the way most people think. So to this day, I still own the business. I still have complete control of the business, but I have 0 daily duties. As a matter of fact, I got an email from my VP of finance today, needing me to sign some paperwork for some tax stuff. But other than that, I don't have anything to do with the daily operations of the business. But that's where this all came from. And then once I stepped out, I was like, maybe other people want to learn how to do this. Maybe I should show people the secrets to doing this. And now that's what I do.
Wow. That's really cool. So, excuse me. Before we get into all the hows and so forth, what has it done for you as far as your lifestyle, your family relationships and so forth, to have sort of exited without exiting?
So I think a lot of entrepreneurs go through the conundrum of thinking that the business that they own is their identity, whether they consciously admit it or not. I know that for me, when I came out, I didn't have a plan. I didn't know what the heck I was going to do next. And so for 4 to 6 months, that first 4 to 6 months was tough because I had this identity crisis where I'm not the president and CEO of Energy Lighting Services anymore. Even though I still own the company, I'm not that guy. So who am I? And I hired a coach to help me figure that out. Like, what am I? And I figured out that the reason God put me on this planet is because I'm a teacher. I'm a really good teacher, and I love teaching, and I get energy from it, and I help people by teaching. And so that's why I developed a coaching company. So in terms of what it was able to do for me, it was able to give me the space to figure out what I'm really here for and what my real true identity is. It wasn't running a lighting company. And so many entrepreneurs deal with that same thing, whether you're running a tech company, a services company, a creative company, an agency. Entrepreneurs start that because it's something they like and enjoy, and they build a business. But is that really why you're here? And when you get out of the way, when you finally get out of the way of running that business every single day, get out of the weeds, you may find out that is why you're here. And now you're clear, and you go back to it, and you have much more joy. But in most cases, my clients come back and tell me, yeah, there's another reason why I'm on the planet. So I'm going to go do something different. And for everybody, that something different is, of course, different.
I think that's so good, because a lot of times I feel like owners of a company or leaders feel like if they step to the side, somehow they've lost their place or they've lost their value. Like, how did you get to the place where you say, I know you're not a part of the day-to-day operations, you still own the company, but you're not as hands-on. How did you become so secure in who you are to be able to take a step back so you can actually take a step forward?
Wow. You didn't tell me we were going this deep today, man. You can't pull that on me. So no, I think that's a great question. I think a lot of it comes down to the negative trait of arrogance, and I talk about this a lot in my coaching with my clients. Is that one of the reasons people resist delegation so much and resist stepping away is they believe they're the only ones who can do it. And there's this thing I call hero syndrome, where we're the hero. We put on the cape, we swoop in, and we save the day every time something goes wrong. And at first that makes sense. You have to, because you're the visionary, you're the founder, but at some point it's totally arrogant of you to think that you're the only person that can do all that. I had one of my clients, his name is Jake, great friend of mine. We've developed a friendship as he's become my client. And, we were he's a part of my mastermind group, and he was on the hot seat a couple months ago, and he was talking about the fact that, he was asking about how to expand his consulting business, because he had a consulting business, and that's hard to do when you're the main consultant. And we were all of us in the mastermind. Of course, the whole point is that get 12 different guys to give ideas, not just mine. And we all kept saying, well, you need to get other people in there. And he kept responding with, yeah, but I'm the only one who knows, what we're looking for and how to do it. And I said, man, how arrogant of you to think that you're the only person that could do that. Like, on the whole planet Earth, nobody ever did that until you were born. And he laughed, because he knew where I was coming from. And I think that the answer to your question, Lafayette, is that we're selfish, we're arrogant, we have the hero syndrome, we think we're the only one. And at some point, you got to come to grips with the fact that you're just not that important. You're just not that smart. The world does not revolve around you, and other people can do it better. And they may do it. They maybe suck at first, but they're going to do it better than you eventually. And I'm okay with that. I'm really okay with that, because running a lighting company, not the thing I want to go to my grave going, I was the best in the world at that. I would rather go to my grave saying I was the best in the world at being a mastermind facilitator and leader, an author, a speaker, a coach. Those are the things I want to, that's why I'm here.
That's amazing. I would also say you're almost limiting your business, because I get it. I helped my father build a cybersecurity company. And when you're the first two people there, and then you have a staff of 8, 10, and you're getting really busy, and you're like, well, I could have so-and-so do this, but they don't do it quite as good as me. And you're like, whose fault is it that they don't do it quite as good as you? And also, how do you know they wouldn't do it better 6 months down the road? Yeah. John Maxwell talks about the power of thoughts. And he says, if you have a thought, it's a single thought. If two people have a thought together, it's not two thoughts. It's an infinite amount of thoughts, because you have one that you shared with person 2. He has one he shares back in response, and each thought builds on each other to create a multitude of thoughts. And so it's just kind of the power of sort of exponential growth. But he's just talking about simple, not just leaving one thought with yourself, sort of like your mastermind group.
Yeah.
You keep talking about this is a little bit, it's not off, but similar. You keep talking about your coaches and people who have sort of entered your life and you've actually allowed them to enter. And I say this because I know you are doing coaching as well. And I'm a person who's always believed in having a coach and have resisted it for a while because you just don't want to pay the money. And then when you get it, you realize that in 6 months' time, you're where you wish you were 2 years ago. And you probably wouldn't have been there even in 6 months if you didn't take that first step. But you mentioned the coach earlier, and then in your next coach. Talk about that a little bit and how that's helped you sort of grow to where you are now.
I believe every high-performing human on the planet has a coach and needs a coach. You look at some of the greatest football players in the world, because we're moving into football season. You look at, the Tom Brady's and the Peyton Mannings of the world. They do not show up and perform based on their own energy, intelligence, and activity levels. They do it because they have coaches, and then sometimes multiple coaches. Maybe it's a health coach, a strength coach, an arm coach, a throwing coach, whatever it happens to be. They've got coaches. You've got ballet dancers, the greatest ballet dancers in the world, the greatest musicians in the world. These people have coaches that help them do things. So why do we think as entrepreneurs we wouldn't need one? That's insane. I mean, why would you put the number one thing that you're ever going to do in the world to provide impact for the community and provide income for your family? Why would you leave it to just your own brain? This is why I was so frustrated with my business partner for so many years, because I would come to him and say, hey, man, I think we need to hire a business coach. I didn't even know what a business coach existed when I started the company. I didn't know what that was. But when I became aware, I was like, we need this. Nah, we're smart enough, which was not correct, obviously. But now I've seen what happened. I became a millionaire after I hired a coach for the first time. That's when my life changed. That's when then perspective, because everybody looks at their business through blinders, and rightfully so. It is your job to laser focus on what you're doing. But it's a coach's job to have that 180-degree view of what's going on, the peripheral view around you, to say, hey, there's something you're not seeing. Let me show it to you. So I've had business coaches since 2017, sometimes multiple at one time. I'm a part of 2 other masterminds right now, and I lead a mastermind. And I've got a guy who is a certified coach in my program. His name is Dr. Justin Mosley, who is the mindset doctor, who's part of my mastermind, but also a certified coach with my group. We meet every week, and we're friends, but I rely on him to help coach me. So if you don't have a coach, there's no excuse for that. I mean, I look at it this way. If you were starting an ice cream company, you're going to make ice cream and you were going to sell ice cream at the corner store. And you said, well, it's really expensive to have an ice cream maker, so I'm just not going to buy one. Well, then you're out of business. I look at a coach as important as the ice cream maker to the ice cream seller. You have to have a business coach.
What would you say to that entrepreneur that says, okay, Jason, I'm ready to make that move. I want to live the exit lifestyle without exiting my actual business, but I simply just don't know how to do so. What are some strategies? What are some tips you would say to them?
So I think just without being going straight toward the self-serving answer to sign up for my course, what I would say, just the answer to that question in any context. Hey, if I don't know how to do something, what's my first step in learning how to do something? Hire somebody who knows how to do it. Hire somebody who's done it. My son is in a band, and he's actually very good. My wife and I went to see him for the first time this past weekend with his bandmates, and we were blown away. They're so good. And he came up to us afterwards, thanking us for coming to the show, and he said, I want a vocal coach, vocal lessons for Christmas. Okay, my son already knows how to sing. He just wants to be better at it. So what did he say? He didn't say, I'm just going to buy a book on Audible and I'm just going to listen to it and I'll be a better singer. No, he wants somebody who can train him through the methodology of doing that. Same thing as a business owner. If you're ready to live the exit lifestyle, one program you could do is what I teach, but I'm sure there are other coaches out there in the world. I don't think there's a better one than me, but I think there's other coaches. Somebody out there can help walk you through that process to get you to the ideal life that you truly want to live. You just got to take action.
It also should be a clue that the people who typically sign up for the coaches and courses are already often on their path or doing well. It should be a clue to everyone else. Like, if he's doing it and he seems to figure some things out, what am I doing? You know what I mean? So you see all kinds of, I run a course and the people I target to talk to are already successful. It's not like I'm like, hey, you're struggling. Let's get, I mean, I would definitely help somebody if they were willing to make the investment, but you just know that somebody who's already successful is always looking to level up within different areas. You had mentioned something in one of your posts recently, like within the last week or so on Instagram. You said, if you haven't prepped your business for sale, it's not worth anything. And you mentioned that earlier because it revolves around you. The thought came to mind, couldn't you take the same sort of quote prepping steps and just not sell the business? Because you're essentially to get it to sell, I would think you're basically having to set it up. So you're not running all of the operations and you have systems and people in place. Therefore, couldn't you take similar steps? Is that kind of, am I on the right thought process?
Yeah, well, that's John, that's very astute of you to think about that, because that's exactly what exit without exiting means is there's three ways to exit a business. There's the exit, which people think means selling. And that is, of course, called a total exit. You sell the business, you have nothing more to do with it. You take a big check, you walk away. Mm-hmm. The second way to exit is called an earn-out. It's where you find a buyer, the buyer wants to pay you, but they're requiring you to stick around for 3 to 5 years or longer, and they're going to pay you a certain salary. And so you're really not earning the sales price until sometime later. It's called an earn-out. And then the third way is what I discovered quite by accident, but now train all my clients to do, and it's exit without exiting. How do you get yourself out of the weeds immediately, as fast as possible, out of the daily operations, but maintain ownership, control, financial, and tax benefits? That's exit without exiting.
So go ahead, Lafayette.
No, go ahead, bro. Go ahead.
So then give everybody the sort of I don't want you to give your course away, because they need to get on the Jason Duncan course. What's your course called?
So there are three ways that people get in can work with me. There's the group coaching course, which you're referring to, and that's called the Business Accelerator. And I'm about to toy with the way I roll it out, but it has historically been 8 1-hour sessions live with me and a group of people, and I show you the 4 core principles to what you have to put in place in order to exit. Whether you're going to exit without exiting, earn out, or total sale, whatever it is, there's 4 things that have to be done. So that's what that course is. I'm starting one. I've got one starts this Thursday with September 1st, but then my next one will start at the end of October, and that one I'm going to do 4 weeks, 2-hour sessions. We're going to try something different. See if the delivery method is different. And then the second way people get involved with me is you can hire me to do one-on-one VIP coaching, where I'll fly out to your office. I'll work with you and your team. I'll babysit, and not necessarily, but I'll handhold you through the process over a course of a year to get you to where you can exit. Now that's very expensive. I only take clients 3 or 4 of those a year, $100,000 a pop. That's that. If you need that much help, I will help you to get there. And then the third way is through my Exeter Club, which is a mastermind experience. It's a year-long commitment. We meet a couple times a month. We have a couple of happy hour meetings where we get together and just talk and shoot the breeze. We have 4 workshops per year that we do live at different destinations. And then we do 2 luxury retreats every single year. And that, one day, that's all I will do. I won't do any of this other stuff, because the mastermind, to me, that experience is the pinnacle of everything that I can offer a client to get them where they want to be as soon as possible.
Very cool. So can you give them, now that we've put that out there, can you give sort of a template or an outline or something that kind of explains a little bit about, the process that we walk through in these masterminds and so forth, as far as how someone could potentially exit without exiting?
So there's 4 core principles that I teach. These are the things I was referring to earlier. The first one is embrace delegation. This actually was the topic of my TED Talk that I gave earlier this year in Wilmington, Delaware. But embracing delegation is the first step. And that goes back to what I think, Lafayette, you were asking earlier. We were talking about this hero syndrome and this being I didn't use the term, but narcissist, where everything revolves around you, or arrogance, whatever you want to call it. You've got to embrace the fact that other people may, in fact, be able to do what you do and get out of the way so they can do it and maybe even do it better. So that's step one. And until you get step one done, it doesn't matter what else happens. Step two is eliminate stress. So one of the things that most entrepreneurs deal with on a day-to-day basis is high levels of stress. That can lead to physical problems, emotional problems, relationship problems. And I teach a very little known tactic about how to manage stress and eliminate it from your life. One of my employees calls me the most laid back, driven person she's ever met. And that's because I've learned to manage stress. Stress doesn't get to me. It doesn't bother me whatsoever. Now, I've learned that through time-tested techniques and understanding psychology. And I train my clients. This is how you do it. And they'll come back to me and go, holy crap, I can't believe this is amazing how much stress it relieves for me. So embrace delegation. Then second is eliminate stress. So when you eliminate that stress, it filters down to your employees and your whole company stress-free. The third thing is establish systems and processes. So now that you've got your delegation, you've embraced that, you now have stress kind of taken control of. Now we're going to work on establishing the systems and processes. And see, the problem is most coaches will take you straight to systems and processes and think that's the silver bullet to get you out. And it ain't. It's one of the keys. But if that's all you do, I mean, listen, systems and processes, you can hire somebody to come in and teach you that. But you're not going to be able to pull it off if you haven't embraced delegation and eliminated stress. And then the fourth core principle is investing in people. Investing in people. As a matter of fact, our weekend workshop with the Exeter Club this past weekend, that was our entire theme for the whole day, was investing in people. And you have to make sure that you find, hire, and onboard the right people. You got to make sure that you delegate appropriately. You've got to make sure that you have you're establishing the right culture of excellence, and that you're making sure you're investing financially, because an investment is you're deploying time and energy and resources with the expectation of a return. And you can invest in people that way, but there's also investing in people means to furnish with power, authority, and rank. So that goes back to delegation, right? It's a circle. So you've got to do these four things. And if you do these four things, you're well on your way to being able to exit.
Man, that's excellent. One of your speaking topics that you speak on is the 5 P's of success. Can you give us some of those 5 or all 5?
Yeah.
5 P's of success.
Yeah. So I do this, since this is a video, so we're on video. So I'll do my hand motions, because as a former school teacher, I know that people learn through visual learning, auditory learning, and kinesthetic. So kinesthetic way to learning is these hand signals. So there's 5 of these, and you're going to start with your thumb. So you put your thumb up, and this means passion. So passion is the first key to success. And passion doesn't just mean being excited about it. Passion means being willing to suffer. It is referred to as the passion of the Christ for a reason, because that passion word means willing to suffer. Jesus wasn't excited to go to the cross. He was willing to do it because he was passionate in terms of suffering. So you can't be successful unless you're passionate. The second is the index finger, the pointer finger, and it means right place, right time. So if you point at a place, it helps you remember that place, right place, right time. And every entrepreneur can look back in their life and go, I was at the right place at the right time. And it's not luck, but I was put myself in the right place at the right time. Even though I didn't know it at the time, that was the right place, right time. And that's one of the keys to success. The middle finger, which and I don't do a screenshot on this, but the middle finger we typically see people using as a term of derision towards other humans, other people. So this reminds us that other people, knowing the right people, is one of the keys to success. I love doing podcasts like this with you guys, because I didn't know you. Now I know you. You didn't know me. Now you know me. We're expanding our network, and our network is our net worth. And if we know the right people, there's always somebody that's going to help us get to success. And then the ring finger, which is the hardest finger to put up by itself, and it's the hardest of the 5 keys, is that of preparation. And if you're noticing, they all start with P. Preparation is, what are you prepared to be successful at? For example, I could only have been prepared to start a lighting company and be successful at it because I knew how to sell. I didn't have to know lights, but I had to have some preparation in order to succeed in that business. So many people find that their preparation comes from the most unlikely sources. Maybe they were bullied as a kid and they developed a chip on their shoulder, and that prepared them to be a great negotiator later in life. And they've got a negotiation or a sales strategy session training course or something. Preparation might come from other places, but it's one of the keys to success. And then the final one, with my little crooked pinky finger here, is plan. It's the shortest of the 5 fingers. It's plan. What's your plan? How are you going to make this work? How are you going to get the financial resources required to deploy to make this thing work? And so passion, place, people, preparation, and plan. If you've got these 5 things, you're well on your way to success. And if anyone is missing, you're not going to be successful in the way that you thought.
I love it. All 5 P's, and each finger had sort of a reasoning behind it. Kind of helps you remember that. I got it all down. I'm going to memorize it. You said right place, right time. Is there something to that as far as being prepared to be at the right place at the right time? I think I heard a quote said, success is when opportunity and preparedness meet.
Yeah. Well, I think right place, right time for a lot of people, you could go the existential route and say, like, for instance, Elon Musk, very successful entrepreneur in the car space, in electric cars specifically.
Mm-hmm.
If he'd have been born in the early 1900s, maybe he still would have been successful in cars, because that's when cars were first invented, but certainly not electric cars, because right place, right time, existentially, it wasn't possible for him to be successful in that particular thing. But then again, you can pull it back about 1,000 layers and say, am I going to the Chamber of Commerce events? Am I joining a mastermind? Am I going to this networking event? Because you never know when the right place, right time is. You never know when that one introduction. I met my original business partner in the business that I still own to this day. I met the original business partner through our church, kind of like he wasn't a member of our church because he lived a few hours away, but like we had I don't even remember what happened. It was a retreat or something. And we got connected, ended up starting a business together. My second business partner I met because I ride motorcycles, and we were in the same motorcycle club together, and we developed a friendship. I met another business partner because this is a true story. So his daughter was my intern at one of my companies. Didn't know him, never met him. 2 years later, I show up on a motorcycle ride with a friend of mine who happened to be his brother-in-law. And then he was like, yeah, his daughter. Yeah, you guys should know his daughter. And just right place. You never know what the right place, right time is. You have to put yourself out there. So for those of you that think that grinding it out and hustling all the time and just staying at your desk and working on your computer, no, you got to get out of the office, man. You got to go out there and rub elbows with people and meet people, because you never know where that right place at the right time is going to be.
Jason, we always wrap up our last segment of our show, call it Off Script, where we ask our guests to leave our audience with whatever is on your heart that you feel would be of a help to them.
Well, here's what I'd say. Since this is an audience of entrepreneurs, I want you to really ask yourself, are you doing what God put you on this planet for? Have you really figured out what your superpower is? Are you really doing that? Because if you're not, you're lying to yourself. And the lies that hurt the most are the lies that we tell ourselves. And so I would say, do everything you can. Read books, watch videos on YouTube, subscribe to the right Instagram and TikTok channels, subscribe to newsletters, join masterminds. Find a mentor, a coach, an advisor, someone to help you figure that out. Because once you figure that out, life changes. And it might not change the way you think. I could make more money I would be making more money, but just to be more specific, if I'd have stayed president and CEO of that lighting company than I am today running a mastermind and a coaching business. Now, eventually, I think my coaching business will eclipse my personal income that I'd had before, but I don't care. Like right now, I wouldn't trade this for anything. This is the first time in my life that okay, I'm not making as much as I could, but I'm doing exactly what I want to do. And I wouldn't have had that experience until I started exploring, why am I here? Why am I really, really here? The Japanese have this word called ikigai that means the center of who you are and what you're supposed to be. And I had a coach help me figure out my ikigai several years ago. And I thought it was one thing. And then when I discovered what it truly was, I didn't know how to express it. I didn't know what that meant. But now I'm doing it and I love it. So I would encourage you to really ask yourself, am I really doing what God put me on this planet for?
What an incredible conversation we've had with Jason Duncan tonight on how to live the exit lifestyle without exiting the business. We want you all to stay connected with Jason. Follow him on all his social media platforms at The Real Jason Duncan. We will put in the show notes the way that you can sign up for his mastermind and his classes and maybe be mentored by him in the future. Thank you, Jason. Stay connected here with us on Unscripted. Follow us on our social media platforms at Unscripted Leadership. You can check out our website, unscripted-leadership.com. Our podcast is available on all streaming platforms. And if you want to help us to continue our mission in empowering and developing other leaders in the areas of business, family, and community, you can do so at patreon.com/unscripted leadership. As always, we pray that you be the leader that God has called you to be. We're here to build bridges and not walls. Bridges connect and walls divide. Until next time, God bless you.